Hey there, Simon here from AQ Outdoors and welcome to our online whitewater kayak skills video series. Today we're at the Kananaskis River and we're going to be introducing an easy and accessible progression on how to flat spin in a playboat in a wave or a hole. Simply put, a flat spin is where the paddler spins the boat a full 360 degrees in any wave or hole. For this progression, we're going to assume that you're comfortable in a whitewater playboat, have done a little bit of surfing, have a pretty reliable roll, and know how to perform a forward sweep stroke and reverse sweep stroke. As far as ideal learning locations go for this progression, we're going to need two things. One is a medium-sized eddy with a fairly defined eddy line, and then a smooth surf wave or hole that you're very comfortable in that has a safe run out and a nice large eddy that's easy to access so you can rinse and repeat the maneuver and practice lots. As with all our progressions, we tend to break things down in a pretty granular fashion, and that'll be no different for the flat spin. We're going to start in flat water, move to an eddy line, and then progress this into a hole or a wave. If you want to skip all the early stuff, just look in the comments section below, and in the index you can select the section that you want to check out first. So we're going to start this maneuver in flat water. As you can see here, our paddler is sitting with their boat flat and they have their gaze cast on a fixed point. Now they're going to rotate their body to the left and plant a big reverse sweep stroke. As they do that, the gaze remains on that fixed point. Once the boat spins through 180 degrees of the turn, the paddler switches their view over the opposite shoulder, but still looking back at the same point. Then plants a big right-hand sweep stroke, and that will complete the spin. Practice this a few times before moving on to the next step. The next step here in flat water is we're going to try and make the sweep as effective as possible. And we're going to do that utilizing body rotation and upper and lower body separation. So the paddler is again sitting flat, gaze cast on that fixed point. Now, when they place this reverse sweep on the left, look at the body rotation that's happening. The blade is then planted and the paddler is actually pulling their knees and feet to the blade rather than pushing the blade towards the feet. This creates maximum spin momentum. When they reach that 180 degree point, again, they're casting their gaze over their shoulder at that same fixed point, planting the forward sweep and rotating their feet and knees away from the blade, not pushing the blade through the water. We encourage you to practice this a bunch in flat water to get these mechanics dialed in and ensuring that the head movement is consistent and dynamic. This is a very important component of spinning on a wave or hole. Once you're comfortable with that, we're now going to move to an eddy line. The maneuver here is going to be very similar. The paddler barely has the bow of the boat in the current. It's only just touching it to help with the spin. Now, we repeat the same maneuvers. Rotate the body, plant the blade, push the feet to the blade, change the gaze over the other shoulder, plant the forward sweep, and rotate the feet towards that 360 degree spin. You should feel the water assisting you spin, but it shouldn't push you downstream. If it's pushing you downstream, then you need to back off a little bit and spin a little closer to the eddy and less out in the current. As a side note, this maneuver is fantastic for scouting rapids and keeping an eye on a group that is both above and below you in a rapid. I use this all the time in small midstream eddies when I'm instructing and trying to manage a group where I have people, some of them downstream and some of them upstream. We're now going to add one more small component to this, which is an edge change. As we're doing the reverse sweep here, you can see our upstream edge is ever so slightly lifted when the boat's 180 degrees through the spin. We change our gaze and we now have to switch edges to what is now effectively the upstream edge or the left-hand knee. This is allowing the water and the current to pass under our boat effectively, and this will mimic surfing and doing a spin in a wave or a hole. We encourage you to practice this a lot until these mechanics feel natural and you feel the current helping the boat spin, but you're not getting flushed downstream and you're not feeling any edge catches or anything like that. Now we're at our wave or hole. For us, it's Chubby's on the Kananaskis River and it's a fantastic spot to learn how to spin. It's more of a hole than a wave, so it has its own set of nuances that maybe a wave doesn't. As you can see, our paddler is settled into a side surf here. Now the mechanics are all going to be very similar to the things we've done so far. The upstream edge is lifted ever so slightly, the paddler is looking upstream at that fixed point, body rotated to the downstream side. Plant the blade, drive their feet towards the blade. As the boat reaches downstream in angle, we cast our gaze over the opposite shoulder, plant that right hand sweep stroke, lift up the upstream edge ever so slightly, and complete the maneuver all the way around. If you choose the correct feature, this maneuver will likely come to you fairly quickly. If you don't, it may take a little longer to learn. So try and choose a nice friendly feature and then put in a bunch of reps. If you get stuck on the wave or the hole, go back to the eddy line, dial in the body movements, and then go back to the wave or hole again. Fortunately, most waves that we're surfing have an eddy line, so you can practice right on site. Some of the issues we see with people trying to perform the flat spin are as follows. Lack of body rotation during the sweeps. This makes sure the boat doesn't go through the full 180-degree spin, so the paddler kind of gets stuck and pushed back the way they came. The paddler doesn't use the correct edge at any point of the spin. This often ends in a window shade and a subsequent roll or swim. The paddler does not look upstream through the duration of the move. This tends to present itself in the paddler being flushed off the feature halfway through the spin. Make sure you keep looking upstream. That's going to keep your body mass where it needs to be. Ineffective paddle strokes. The paddler is not using upper and lower body separation or body rotation to initiate the spin. They're just trying to use their arms. This is much less effective and more likely to end in a failed result. So that's it. That's the flat spin in a few easy steps. As with all our progressions, we encourage you to start at flat water, dial the maneuvers in, move it to the eddy line, and then finally onto a comfortable wave or hole. The key points to this is keeping your gaze cast upstream through the entire move. Utilize body rotation rather than arm strength to initiate the spin, and making sure that you're using the correct edge and edge change as you do the flat spin in a more dynamic feature. Thanks so much for checking out the video. We hope you enjoyed it and found it valuable. We look forward to hearing from you on how this helps your progression in your whitewater freestyle. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, as we'd love to hear from you and we'll get back to you right away. For more information, you can check us out at aqoutdoors.com.